I'm talking about, I started out smoking freebase. It was like, I started out one time. And I should have known something bad was gonna happen. Because I remember the first time I did freebase, I burnt my bed up. I swear, I was sitting on the side of the bed and somebody said, "Richard, the bed's on fire." I said, "What? The bed's on fire?"
Richard Pryor's Funniest Moments, the comedy genius who outsmarted everyone. Think of the wildest comedian who ever lived. The one who survived a fire that nearly ended his life in 1980, then walked back onto a stage a year later and turned the whole terrible night into a joke.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. When that fire hits your ass, that will sober your ass up quick. I mean, I was standing there on fire and something said, "Why, that's so pretty blue. You know what? That looks like fire!" I'm talking about fire is inspirational. They should use it in the Olympics. Because I did the 100-yard dash in 4.3. And you know something I found out? When you're on fire and running down the street, people will get out of your way.
The one who said the words nobody else would say in rooms nobody else would dare say them in. That's the Richard Pryor most people keep in their memory. Loud, reckless, out of control. Now here's the man almost nobody remembers. One night on national television, a sharp, quick, famous talk show host leaned across his desk and tried to prove he could talk the way Richard Pryor talked. Pryor didn't raise his voice. He didn't fight back. He asked one small, quiet question.
There are people like myself who do know what they're saying and could do it, I think is right. I honestly think I could.
Do what? What are you talking about?
I think I could write for you in your vernacular because of...
But what is my vernacular?
Well, because I hang out with...
Yeah, but what is my vernacular? What are you talking about?
Well, like this hug is all in my yoke.
Right, Dick. What are you talking about? I mean, you know, what is it? What is it that, what do you think I am? What do I talk like, something?
I simply know this, that when I...
Explain
I know that when...
What is my vernacular? And then he sat back, calm as a Sunday morning, and let the smartest man in the building dig himself a hole he could not climb out of, live in front of the whole country. That was the real Richard Pryor, the man who quietly ran the room while everyone else was busy losing theirs. Over the next half hour, you're going to watch him do it again and again, to that host, to a fast car, to a whole congregation, even to a rumor that he was dying. Every single time somebody thought they had the upper hand, Pryor turned the tables before they saw his hands move.
Hunky! Say! Hunky, hunky!
Sure.
And the moment that tells you who he truly was isn't the fire, and it isn't any punchline you've already heard 100 times. It's a quiet one near the end. Stay with me. It pays off. The man you think you remember. If you grew up watching him, you already know the voice, the walk, the face that could turn into 40 different people inside a single minute. And if you've never seen 1 minute of his work, don't worry, because everything you need is simple. He came out of Peoria, Illinois, out of a childhood most folks wouldn't believe if you laid it out for them plain. Nothing was handed to him, and he took that nothing and built the most copied comedy career this country has ever produced.
I think you're qualified for this job. How about a starting salary of $5,000? Oh, mama.
Turn on almost any comedian working today, and the trail leads straight back to him. But here's the piece that always gets lost. People remember Pryor as a man who lost control, the cursing, the danger, the trouble that followed him around like a stray dog.
I'm talking about, I started out smoking freebase. It was like, I started out one time. And I should have known something bad was gonna happen. Because I remember the first time I did freebase, I burnt my bed up. I swear, I was sitting on the side of the bed and somebody said, "Richard, the bed's on fire." I said, "What? The bed's on fire?"
Watch closely, though, and you see the opposite. In the moments that counted, he was the calmest man in the room.
People from the Caribbean will suddenly go into a... Like, have you ever been in the Caribbean where I'm just going to move back a little bit, Richard.
No, I'm just trying to understand. I don't understand.
Here's exactly what I mean.
He'd sit dead still while everything around him came apart. And somehow, when the dust settled, he was the one left holding the last laugh. That's the thread running through everything you're about to see, not chaos control. A man letting everybody else believe they had him, right up until the second he flipped it.
That's right. When you are married, say you don't fuck around if you got any brains. My wife, where did you fuck? No, I was not fucking her. I don't care what you think you saw. I was not fucking her. Now you gonna believe me or your lying eyes?
Once you learn to spot that move, you can't unsee it. So, let's start somewhere small and friendly, with a man shining shoes.
One of the girls in the circus was wonderful. She could do flips and stuff, was acrobat. I loved her, too. She used to grease her behind, slide down here, and whoop around in the air like that. Was the actor scene, boy. Girl could have made a lot of money, but one time she didn't grease it and hit that cement, tore it all in. Could you not put no polish on my socks? Say, boy, don't tell me nothing about no shoes. I know the man invented the shoe. Black man out of Detroit, named Stacey Adams.
The shoeshine man who owned the room. On his own television program in 1977, Pryor played a shoeshine man.
Hey, Richard Pryor, come here, boy, let me hit them shoes for you. You can't go out there and do that special with them shoes looking like that, man.
An old-timer with a rag and a stool, working a corner of the NBC building, shining the shoes of a big star who happened to be named Richard Pryor.
Get your butt up there. Yes, sir. You know, you can tell the caliber of a man's show by his shoes. I can see you're gonna be on daytime TV.
On paper, the shoeshine man is the smallest person in that scene. He's down on one knee. He's looking up. The other fellow has the money, the fame, the dressing room. That's how the room is arranged. And Pryor, playing both men at once, spends the whole sketch quietly turning that arrangement upside down. Because the shoeshine man isn't nervous, and he sure isn't impressed. He looks the big star over top to bottom and tells him you can judge a man's whole show by his shoes. He's been working that building longer than anybody, he says.
I've been around here a long time. I see them come and go. See, I know things. I know all the peoples all along NBC. See that wall full of pictures? Them's people.
And he's watched the famous ones come and go. He remembers 1929, the year the market crashed, when he watched grown men who'd lost everything fall to pieces.
When I was here in 29, let me tell you something. 1929 was a crash. That's what they call it, see? White folks went crazy. They did. One berserk was running all up and down the hall, jumping out of windows. You know, white folks can't live without money, see?
While he just kept working, one pair of shoes at a time.
I had fun. I was just watching them flying everywhere. I think I shined 4 pairs of shoes that year. That was a bad year for me.
And here's the flip. By the end, the old man isn't the help anymore. He's the one taking credit for the whole career.
I'm the one got you your show, boy. You the one I built you up. I said, Richard Pryor, funniest man in the world, he should be on the show. Have him on there. And I gave him one of your records, they run out of here. Acting all crazy. So that's how you got your special, see?
He tells the star, cool as you like, that he's the reason there's a star sitting in that chair at all. That he's the one who slipped the right people the right record back when nobody knew the kid's name. Then he holds out his hand and asks, plain as day, "Where's my tip?"
Thank you. No, thank you. I want a tip, man. You know, that's a nice piece of money, boy. You got style. Where's my tip?
The joke lands because the whole thing has quietly reversed. The man everyone was looking down on is the man who was really running the exchange the entire time. He decides what the shoes mean. He decides who made who. He decides when the conversation is over. That's the pattern right there in the first clip. Watch the smallest person in a Pryor scene 9 times out of 10. That's the one he's secretly put in charge.
And my wife always talking about express yourself. Darling, express your feelings, emotions. Try to talk. Try to not to be so physical. Learn how to speak. Try to talk. Now, darling, what is the problem? Bitch, I want to kill.
You'll believe me or your own eyes. He pulled the very same trick on something every married man in America already understands: getting caught. In one of his stand-up sets, Pryor plays a husband who has plainly, obviously been caught doing something he shouldn't have, and instead of confessing, instead of apologizing, he does the boldest thing a cornered man can do. He denies the whole thing to his wife's face. And then he delivers the line that turns the tables completely. "You're going to believe me," he tells her, "or your own 2 eyes." Think about the nerve of that. He's not arguing about the facts. He's asking her to throw out the evidence of her own eyeballs and take his word instead. It shouldn't work on a single soul. And the room comes apart because every person in it has either tried that move or had it tried on them. Then he flips the script a second time. His wife, he says, is always after him to open up.
I don't know, I done got into feeling. I done got married. That gets you into feelings and shit. When you get married, you have to feel. You know, my wife says, feel, express your feelings. Darling, don't lock it up. Just speak your mind.
Talk about his feelings. Don't hold it in. Express yourself, darling. So he tries. He goes looking honestly for the feeling underneath, and when he finally finds the words for it, what comes out is the plain, quiet truth. The problem, he tells her, is that right now, I could just about kill you. There's the reversal. The whole modern idea of let's sit down and share our feelings gets handed right back, because when this man actually shares the feeling, it's the last thing anybody wanted to hear. He takes the advice completely seriously, follows it all the way to the bottom, and the honesty itself becomes the punchline.
She's wonderful though about expressing yourself. I get mad, I can't even talk. You know, the madder I get, the quieter I get. My voice just goes down and down. Especially, well, I'm trying to.
And notice what Pryor's really doing. He isn't standing outside the marriage, poking fun at it. He climbs all the way inside. He plays the husband. He plays the wife. He plays the whole argument. He plays the man storming out the front door and then remembering he forgot his keys and having to turn around and knock.
How can women be so cool though when you angry? Don't you tell me I love you, don't you see? Yes, dear, I'm going for a walk. A walk?
Any man who's been married 30 years knows that long walk back to his own door.
The house about 137 times. I just said, fuck you! And then I'd have to come back like you forget your keys.
That's why it lands so hard. Which brings us to the night this whole idea, the calm man turning the tables, showed up in its purest form. It's the moment I promised you at the very top, and it happened to one of the quickest-witted men who ever hosted a television show.
Now, there's a lot of funny stuff in this book.
No, I'm trying to, I don't understand.
But what part don't you understand?
None of it.
The question that undid Dick Cavett. Dick Cavett was no lightweight. He was one of the sharpest, best-read hosts of his day, a man who could trade lines with anybody and usually come out ahead. So when Richard Pryor sat down across from him, Cavett tried something that seemed friendly enough on its face. He wanted to show that he understood Pryor, that he could speak his language, that he, Dick Cavett, could actually sit down and write for Richard Pryor in Pryor's own way of talking.
Richard, I don't want to be obsessed with race, but this is a different angle I've really never heard anybody discuss. Can white writers write for you? You know what I mean?
If they write for the human being in me, yes. If they write,
Right.
if they try to write for some idea they have.
And Pryor let him try. He didn't get defensive. He didn't get loud. He asked one small question in about the softest voice you can imagine. What is my vernacular? What exactly do I sound like? Show me.
I think is right. I honestly think I could.
Or do what? What are you talking
I think
about?
I could write for you in your vernacular because of...
But what is my vernacular?
Well, because I hang out with...
Yeah, but what is my vernacular? What are you talking about?
Well,
That question is a trap, and it's a beautiful one, because there is no good answer to it. Cavett starts reaching. Well, he says because I spend time around, and Pryor just repeats it gently. What is my vernacular? Cavett tries again. He starts explaining dialects, starts talking about how people talk differently around old friends. And the more he explains, the deeper he sinks.
No, I'm just trying to understand. I don't understand you.
here's exactly what I mean. In the Caribbean, there's a dialect that is English. It sounds like it's not.
Pidgin English.
Yeah.
Every sentence is another shovelful. Pryor barely says a word. He just sits there, calm and patient, every so often repeating that same soft question, and lets one of the smartest men on television talk himself clean into a corner on live TV. And here's the genius of it. Pryor never attacks him. He never sets out to embarrass the man. He doesn't have to. He simply asks a fair question and then gets out of the way, and Cavett does every bit of the work himself. At one point, the host practically throws up his hands and says, "How the hell did I get into this?" And that is the whole point. He walked in on his own. Pryor just held the door. Underneath the laugh, Pryor is saying something real, and he's saying it without one harsh word. He's pointing out kindly that a man who's never lived your life can't hand you your own voice back and call it a gift. But he doesn't lecture. He doesn't scold. He lets a smart man discover it out loud in real time, and that discovery is funnier and sharper than any speech could ever be. This is the thing to hold on to. The most dangerous comedian in America won that entire exchange by doing almost nothing at all. No raised voice, no fight, just a quiet question and the patience to wait. The wild man was the calmest person in the room, and he turned a confident, clever host into the punchline of his own sentence and stayed polite the whole way through.
Hey, I'm very happy to have you here.
It's good to see you again, man.
During the break, I'll try to make clear that thing I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
Now watch him do the same thing to something that couldn't talk back at all. A car.
And I remember in my mind saying to myself, I feel like James Dean, you know? And a voice said to me, didn't James Dean die in a car wreck? And I couldn't stop it.
The car that almost won. Later in his life, Pryor bought himself a fast Italian sports car. A low, black, beautiful thing, sitting in a showroom. The kind of car that costs about as much as a house.
I bought a car for a 22-year-old kid. I bought a car. And it's a Testarossa, right? I did. I walked in the store, it was black, and it was in a showroom, and it was beautiful.
And he tells the story of driving it the way a man tells you about a woman he knew better than to go near. He sits down in it, and it's warm, and it seems to talk to him. Come sit right here.
It was like, I said, oh my God. You know, and it was like it spoke to me, you know, and I got in it, you know. The guy said, sit down, sit down. I sat, you know, I was in, it was like warm.
He pulls out onto the highway, second gear, third gear, and he can feel the thing climbing right up his legs, fourth gear, and now he's flying. He never once looks at the speedometer. He says because he doesn't need to. He already knows. And this is where the story turns, because for a second, the car is winning. He isn't driving it anymore. It's driving him. In his head, a proud little voice pipes up, I feel like James Dean. And right behind it comes a second voice, quiet and cold. Didn't James Dean die in a car wreck? That's the moment most storytellers would make scary. Pryor makes it a prayer. He can't get his foot off the gas. So he starts praying, please, God, don't let me go like this. You didn't let me die in that fire. Don't take me now.
And I couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop the car from going. I prayed my foot off the gas. I said, please, God, please don't kill me now.
And he says he prayed his own foot up off that pedal and let the car coast for miles until it finally slowed to something safe. Then comes the reversal, the part that makes the whole thing his. A police car goes by, spots him, spins a hard turn, and comes roaring back.
And someone said, he's after you. And I saw the police car do a 180 and come back, and the cop's hat was all sideways. His gun was around like this.
The officer's hat is knocked sideways, his belt's a mess, and Pryor's already bracing for the worst. And the cop walks up to that gorgeous car, and he doesn't want to write a ticket at all. He just wants to look at it. He wants to talk about it. The traffic stop turns into two grown men admiring a car by the side of the road. Look at what Pryor just did. He took the two most frightening things in that story, a car fast enough to kill him, and a police officer walking up on him in the dark, and he flipped them both. The car nearly wins, and he prays it back under control. The cop shows up to bust him and leaves a fan. Even out here alone on a dark highway with no host and no audience in the scene, the pattern holds. Whoever seems to hold the power, Pryor finds the angle and walks away on top. He could do it to a car. He could do it to a cop. He could even do it to a king.
I saw you throw Daniel in the lion's den, and I saw you drinking from my gold cups, and the party's over. That's what he told him. The party is over.
The preacher and the king. Some of Pryor's best work wasn't loud at all. It was pure storytelling. He'd slow all the way down, drop his voice into a warm, rolling Sunday morning rhythm, and just tell you a tale. And by the end, the most powerful man in that tale would somehow have the air let clean out of him. His favorite kind of story was a Bible story, told his way. He'd play a country preacher standing in front of his congregation, and he'd take up the old story of a mighty king named Nebuchadnezzar.
Now, in order for me to make my point, I must tell you the story about King Nebuchadnezzar and the Hebrew boys. That is to help me make my point.
In the real telling, the king has all the power. He's got the army, the palace, the gold. He throws good, faithful men into a furnace, and he throws a young man named Daniel into a den of lions, just to watch. Here's how Pryor tells it. The fire gets lit, and it just sputters out.
Truly wonderful. Truly. Am I telling the truth, Reverend Elmo? As far as I know. And when the guards put the Hebrew boys in the fire, it sputtered and went out.
The faithful men stand right there in it, and the flames won't touch a hair on them. Daniel goes into the lion's den, and the lions look at him, and then they look at each other, and they couldn't be less interested.
So Daniel went in the cage, and he stood there, and he looked at the lions. And the lions looked at Daniel. Then the lions looked at each other. And Daniel looked at the lions while they were looking at each other. Then he looked at the king. He said, "Sir, the lions ain't hungry."
The lions, Pryor says, aren't hungry. The lions have no place to go. The lions have no appointments. You're laughing, and you nearly miss what just happened. The mighty king, the one with all the power, has been quietly stripped of it. Because in Pryor's telling, the Lord can see straight through the palace wall.
And just as Nebuchadnezzar raised that cup to his mouth, the Lord stepped through the wall. That didn't bust a brick. Stepped right through the wall and he wrote something on it. Had one of them pencils that you write on the wall with.
He steps right through the brick and he writes a note on it. And the note says, in plain language, the party's over. All that power, all that gold, and the biggest man in the whole story ends up as the fellow who gets told the party is finished. That's the same move, dressed in its Sunday clothes. Pryor takes the most powerful figure in the room, a king this time, and flips him. The small and the faithful come out on top. The one who was sure he ran everything gets handed the news that he doesn't. And notice how gentle the whole thing is. There's no anger in it. There's no finger pointing. It's warm and funny and easy to sit with, the kind of story a grandfather tells out on the porch. But underneath all that warmth, Pryor is doing exactly what he always does. He finds the person everyone assumes is in charge, and he quietly moves the power somewhere else. Which is a good place to slow down, because the next thing he turned the tables on wasn't a king, or a car, or a host. It was heartbreak. And that one lands closer to home than all the rest.
It's like men cannot graduate till a woman breaks your fucking heart. That is your diploma. It either kill you or make you fat.
The only diploma that counts. Every man watching this has had his heart broken at least once. And most men, Pryor says, do the exact wrong thing with it. They don't cry. They hold it in like it doesn't hurt at all. And they walk around so tangled up inside that they'll step right off a curb in front of a truck and never see it coming.
You ever had your heart broke? Like, men don't get their, women get their heart broke, they cry. Men don't do that shit. Men hold that shit in like it don't hurt. Walk around and get hit by trucks.
Then he says the line that turns the whole painful thing into something you can actually carry. Getting your heart broken, he says, is like graduating. A man can't really graduate until a woman has broken his heart. That heartbreak, that's your diploma. And it either kills you, he says, or it makes you fat. That's a joke, and the room laughs. But sit with it a second, because Pryor has just done something quietly generous. He's taken the lowest, most private thing a man goes through, the kind of hurt men are raised to hide, and he's handed it back to you as a diploma, a thing you earned, proof you loved somebody enough to get wrecked by it.
I'm talking about that heartache where your motherfucking heart be, ooh, hurting and shit, and you can't even listen to music. Shit remind like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That reminds me of my leg.
He didn't make the pain any smaller. He turned it into a badge. He keeps going, and every man knows exactly the feeling. When you love a woman and you can't be with her, he says, every other woman starts to sound wrong. You hear some other woman talking, and there's a voice in the back of your head asking, now what is she even saying?
And you go out with other women when you love, you go out with other women, don't mean shit, right? You go out with other women and they talk and they go, you hear their voice and go, what is this bitch talking about? Why don't she just shut the fuck up?
And the one you lost, every time you see her, she looks better than the last time, until it makes you want to holler. Here's the reversal, and it's a soft one. Heartbreak is the one thing in this whole video that actually has power over the man. It's the single force Pryor can't out-talk or out-cool. So he does the only thing left to do. He doesn't beat it. He renames it. He can't win against the heartbreak, so he calls it a graduation. And by naming it that way, he takes back the one thing it can never touch, which is what it means. The hurt is still there. But now it's a diploma, and a diploma is something a man gets to be proud of.
And when you can't find her no more, it look like she get better. Every time you see her, she be beautifuler with some other motherfucker that look good. I be going, I want to kill everybody. Everybody in the world.
That's a different kind of turning the tables, not flipping a host or a king, flipping the way it feels to lose. And it's the bridge into the last part of this story, the quietest reversal Pryor ever pulled, and the one almost nobody ever talks about.
When was that interview?
Might have been several years old.
Then that don't apply right now.
Because the new Pryor.
The new Richard Pryor. By the middle of the 1980s, the story the whole world told about Richard Pryor was a sad one. The drugs. The fire in 1980 that nearly ended his life. The wild man who couldn't get out of his own way. That was the script the country had written for him, and just about everybody assumed they already knew how it ended. And then, in an interview, Pryor quietly rewrote it. The host keeps circling back to the old Pryor the trouble, the danger, the man from the headlines. And Pryor, calm as ever, keeps gently correcting him. That was an old interview, he says. That doesn't apply anymore. Because the new Pryor is here. When the host pushes, asking if it was some big overnight change, Pryor won't even let it be that dramatic.
Is that a gradual thing, or was it kind of an overnight change from after you survived the horror of your
No,
accident?
I just think it's, for me, it's the way I want to be as a grown-up person.
No, he says. It's just the way I want to be as a grown man. That's all. And I do the best I can. Then he says the thing that turns the tables on his own legend. He talks about staying sober 1 day at a time, 3 years and counting. And he doesn't dress it up.
I've been approached, but I don't know that helps. I mean, unfortunately, people have to do what they would like to do. You can only show them better, you can tell them. Mm-hmm. How you live is how they live.
He isn't preaching. When somebody asks if he'll do public service spots, looking into a camera and telling kids to stay off drugs, he just shakes his head.
Are you technically a recovered alcoholic?
Technically,
or in fact?
I just say that a day at a time, I try not to drink. Mm-hmm. And so far, it'll be 3 years, God's been with me.
That doesn't help, he says. You can't lecture a person into a better life. All you can do is show them how you live and let them watch. Live it. Don't announce it. And here is the quiet reversal, the one I promised you at the very start. For years, the world had been telling Richard Pryor who he was, the wild man, the cautionary tale, the trouble waiting to happen. This was the moment he took the pen right out of their hands. He looked at the story everybody else was busy writing about him, and he calmly said, "No, that's the old one. Here's who I actually am now." Then he does one more thing, and it's the warmest moment in all of it.
And there was no one ahead of you to do it for you?
Well, for me, I mean, Dick Gregory.
Dick Gregory, that's
Dick Gregory made it possible for me.
Yeah.
And someone made it possible for Dick Gregory. You know, we just pass it on, keep passing the torch.
Yeah.
He gives the credit away. He talks about the men who came before him, an older comedian named Dick Gregory, the man who pushed the doors open so Pryor could walk through them. Somebody made it possible for me, he says, and somebody made it possible for him. You just pass it on. Keep passing the torch. He points to the young comics coming up right behind him, the ones building on everything he'd already done, and he sounds proud of every one of them. That's the final table turned. The man everybody had written off as out of control took the one story he was never supposed to win, the story of his own life, and quietly took it back. No shouting, no big speech. Just a calm man saying in his own plain words that he decided who he was going to be from here on out. And then, handing the torch down the line, like it was the most natural thing in the world. What he handed us. So here's what all of it adds up to. a shoeshine man who turned out to be running the whole show, a husband who asked his wife to believe him over her own eyes, a famous host who talked himself into a corner while Pryor just sat back and let him, a car, a cop, a king, a broken heart. Every last one of them flipped. Every last one handed back to the audience with a laugh sitting on top. Watch these clips again with that in mind, and you'll catch it in the first 10 seconds every time. Pryor never needed to be the loudest man in the room. He'd let you think you had him. He'd let the host feel clever, let the car feel fast, let the whole world write him off. And then, quietly, without ever raising his voice, he'd move the power to wherever he wanted it and leave you laughing on the way there. That's the part that outlived him. He passed the torch exactly like he said he would, and you can still see his fingerprints on nearly every comedian who's made you laugh in the years since. So here's the question I'll leave with you, because I honestly go back and forth on it myself. When Richard Pryor sat there so calm while everyone around him fell apart, was that a man in total control of the room, doing it all on purpose, every single time? Or was it something gentler than that? A man who'd been knocked down so many times that staying calm was simply the only way he knew how to get back up. I lean one way, you might lean the other. Tell me down in the comments which Pryor you see, the one in full control or the one just holding himself together. And tell me which of these moments made you laugh the hardest. I read every one, and I'll see you in the next one.